Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to another Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and as always, when we do Impact Wrestling reviews, there's only one guy that assists me along the way, and that is Dave Robinson. Good, yeah, it is still morning, Dave. It's
morning, mate. You okay?
Yeah, see you before 12. What's going on?
Turned over a new leaf.
Turned over to that diet you're on of no meat or whatever, or you know meat anyway. You're a vegetarian, but juice diet or whatever it is.
Vegan, and the V word.
The V word
that might lose a few viewers.
Yeah, it's a juice diet, isn't it? Not.
Yeah, giving it a go. I've done it before. It's a bit of a detox. I know it's the thought of not eating for a week is mad to some people. But yeah, you basically juice your fruit and your veg for the week, and you're allowed 5 a day. So it should give me a boost, hopefully.
Should we call you Juice Robinson?
Yeah, that's nice. Like it.
Collision. We're not talking about AEW, we're not talking about WWE. We are talking Impact Wrestling. Their weekly show was on last night. But before that, there was obviously some breaking news that we did break yesterday on the Dynamite review. We did deviate away from AEW because the news come out. Impact Wrestling is touring the UK in October. I believe the same weekend WWE are in town. Tickets go on sale next Friday. I think the word, Dave, that come to my head was finally.
Yeah, so they're looking at 3 venues, aren't they? Glasgow, Newcastle and Coventry. So places as well. I'm not just sure with Coventry, but places that don't get as much wrestlers as some of the other cities in the UK. So interesting selection, and as you say, about time.
Yeah, the Wrestling Carnival held out of Coventry. That's what they're using. I believe they're partnering with the Wrestling Carnival for that particular show. So that's always good. They've had Joe Hendry on the show before anyway. So
that's a good boost for the independents as well, isn't it? You know, working alongside companies like Impact.
Always, especially if they're willing to work alongside them, which is generally the issue that you get. But anyway, good news for Impact Wrestling. It's good to see. Hopefully it is a big success, which I'm sure it will be. But Impact Wrestling obviously kicked off with the highlight segment of last week. But the first match was Trinity, Danny Luna versus the Coven. I'd have to say, and I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority here, that was quite weak for me, that match. I don't know, maybe it just didn't work. There was just something, it just didn't get going enough for me.
Probably the first time I've seen Danny Luna in action, and I thought she was really good. A bit of she had a lot of the match. I know Trinity got the hot tag, but yeah, there wasn't too much Trinity, so I kind of understand where you're coming from. But I didn't mind this. I thought it was another. I'm glad it started with a women's segment after the criticism that we had for AEW.
Yes.
Not only did they do a women's tag match, they followed it with a women's singles match, or not long after we had a women's single match. So I appreciate the effort that Impact put into the booking of their women's division and introducing new talents and interweaving stories. So I didn't think this was a bad start to the match, and another good episode of Impact, I thought.
Yep. Trinity hits the full Nelson Buster and flips over into a cover for the 3 count. Immediately after that, Deonna Purrazzo comes out and she wants a rematch, which is going to happen at Emergence.
Yeah, very short and sweet, wasn't it, that promo?
Yeah.
It was just to let you know, I'm having my rematch at Emergence, and that was it.
I'm sure that will tear the house down like their first match did. That's all one weekend, is it not?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was. Then we next moved on to a loser leaves match between Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice. This was hilarious.
Nice bit of levity. Sometimes comedy can be you can get too much or not enough. This was just the right sprinkling of comedy into this episode for me. I enjoyed this.
They tried to think a poke of doom. They tried to roll him up from there. It was all fun and games, to be honest. they had I think it was a shopping cart or something like that. But he stacks him up with his feet. But Johnny Swinger stacks Zicky Dice up with his feet on the ropes and gets the win, meaning Zicky Dice must leave the company. Just before that, though, one thing I did mention was we had another good segment with Dango and Bravo, and he was basically bashing Scott D'Amore for thinking he's 25 again, and calls his new security Alpha Bravo. Are we going to be waiting for someone with a C to come along to have Alpha Bravo Charlie?
Yeah. I really like this. I like Dango's character.
Yeah,
I really do. He's again somebody that does comedy very well, but this isn't all out comedy like some of his skits in the WWE when he was with Tyler Breeze doing the remind me of the name of it. Some Files, was it? Fashion Files. I see. It's there's again a sprinkling of levity in there, but quite a serious character in some degree as well. So I like what he stumbled across there, and I am looking forward to see more of him with his new security guard.
Security guard. What happens to Zicky Dice now, though?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, to be honest, whether he's staying with Impact or whether this is storyline.
No, me either.
It'd be a shame to see him go because in the brief time we've been watching, he has provided some pretty funny stuff, and he fits that role in with Swinger as well. So, yeah, we'll see. Don't think much of his wrestling skills, but in terms of his character and the comedy he brings, then yeah, he was a good member of the roster. So hopefully he's sticking around.
Yeah, hopefully he does. I'm not sure what's on the horizon for him. We saw footage of Yuya Uemura pinning. See, I've done that one already, didn't I? Pinning. There you go. Pinning Kenny King on the BTI match prior. And obviously Yuya and our good friend Joe Hendry are talking to Santino. And long story short, Santino books a triple threat match for next week for the digital championship. So are we going to see our friend win again, or is it going to be a Yuya win?
I quite like it because obviously Hendry gets his rematch for losing the title to Kenny King. As he's friends with Yuya, then Santino basically said, if you're okay with it, we'll make it a triple threat, which Hendry went along with. And I think that sets up a good match next week and something a bit different. Obviously, sometimes champions and challenges, you can get too many rematches and running the same thing with different finishes. So this adding a third competitor who could win the championship as well is a nice sort of little change for me. I expect Kenny King to retain.
Yes,
this short into his reign. But yeah, we'll see where this goes following that.
Yeah, we will. I think that'll be a really good match next week, actually.
Definitely.
Speaking of really good matches, and you mentioned earlier on that we was going to have another women's match, and we did. And this match was absolutely fantastic. It was Giselle Shaw and Masha Slamovich. This was a really, really good match. And it was, we're talking about showcasing the women's division better, or booking the women better, or whatever that sign was on there. And this is the exact way how to do it, with two women that can absolutely tear the house down. They've done that. Giselle Shaw, although with a bit of help, did get the win. But finally, a women's match this week that denotes how women should be presented on TV.
They set that up last week as well with the backstage. And, not even halfway through the show, we've had a women's tag match, we've had a face-off with a champion and challenger, and we've had a singles match, which is, also it's not finished. It leads to, because of the nature of the finish and the way Giselle Shaw won, it will lead to more. But yes, it's not that difficult, is it? Just to kind of, book this in a similar manner that you book the men's division. So hopefully, not just Tony Khan, but all wrestling promoters are watching Impact as to the way they do things and just do better.
Yeah, book women better was the
and we're not just jumping on a bandwagon here and kind of just like, it just makes absolutely no sense. We've seen in the recent years how the women's matches can steal the show, and that's no surprise to us, really. And when put in the right, like last week or the week before, Athena and Willow Nightingale headlined the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and tore the house down. So you think off the back of that, they would carry that momentum into other programming. You saw this year at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte was arguably the match of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we're not kind of saying anything new here. There just seems to be at times less focus given to the booking and the creativity when it comes to the female performers, and enough's enough, really.
Yeah, enough. It's certainly enough. And actually, as we move into the next segment, we have another kind of a woman segment on this as well. First off, we see the footage of Jake Something beating Kevin Knight, and another vignette for Jake Something. They seem to be very high on Jake. I want to see, I know the injury or whatever. Obviously, we haven't watched Impact a lot period of time, so we don't know a lot about him. They seem to be very high on Jake Something, so I'm really interested to see where that goes as the weeks progress.
Yeah, and I like this video package just to getting to know him a little bit more, particularly for guys like us that didn't catch his run first time round. And they're very good at this. They're very good. They don't seem to leave anybody behind. They don't seem to forget anybody. You know, everybody has got their role. Everybody has got a video package or a promo section or a match, or the finish will correlate to what's happened previously. You know, which I'll say something else about in a bit in one of the other matches, not to give a spoiler away early. But yeah, the attention to detail is really impressive.
Yeah, it is, and I'm looking forward to see Jake Something in the coming weeks and months as we build up towards Emergence and see what his next feud is and whether he'll have a match on Emergence. But they seem very high on him, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. Now, just mentioned the women again. Kazarian was talking to his wife Tracy backstage. She wants 5 minutes with Alicia Edwards in the ring. He cuts her off, said the last thing they want there to do is for her to get hurt. Are they leaning towards, and I think we've told this before, an intergender match between them four?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably where we're gonna get. No Eddie Edwards this week.
No.
But again, another they haven't forgot about that story. You know, they plant that another little seed in there and didn't give us an answer yet as to what's going to happen, how that's going to play out. And that's you know, that's just good storytelling, isn't it? You know, keeps you going back for more. So I think we'll ultimately get that tag match or maybe a four-way. You never know with Impact.
Yeah, that is true. They do have a habit of pulling things out. Now, one of the things we didn't discuss was that Bully Ray gave an ultimatum to Lio Rush.
Yeah.
Which was either line with us or don't. Are you with us or are you not against us? And that's involving Alex Shelley, the Time Splitters, Motor Machine Guns, Kushida and Josh Alexander. So that was earlier on in the show, and it kind of builds into very nicely to the great tag match that they put on with Moose and Brian Myers versus the Time Splitters.
Last time they'd actually tagged in Impact.
Yes.
Yeah, they competed all over the world together. They competed in WWE together in NXT, but never actually in Impact. So, as you say, this was a great match.
Yeah, it was a great tag match. The Time Splitters are very good, Kushida and Alex Shelley. And to be honest, Moose and Brian Myers are good hands, no pun intended, to the tag team. There was a bit, the ending of the match really was where Myers sort of had Shelley in a headlock, but he tried to switch over to a pinfall. That Myers basically just couldn't kick out of. And as soon as that happens, they go for the attack. Bully Ray joins them. Alexandra runs down to make the save. Now Lio Rush comes down, makes his decision and starts beating on Shelley, Kushida and Co. before Chris Sabin returns from his maybe short injury, maybe that he had, possibly. From Slammiversary, we mentioned the match was really short. He was dominated by Lio Rush. Good segment, good finish. What Impact do really well is they set things up nicely for the next week or maybe Emergence. We don't know where this is going. Are we going to have a 4-on-4 Emergence, do you think?
I think it's looking that way, and this kind of confirms to me that Sabin, it was a storyline, it was an angle rather than an injury, because he's come back very quickly. I know Impact's pre-recorded, isn't it? So this actually happened the day after Slammiversary, or not to ruin the illusion for everyone, but but the main thing is that Chris Sabin is healthy, and that it's great that now it's looking like this is going to set a 4-on-4. I'm sure we get the 1-on-1 Sabin Rush match at some point, but right now it's looking like it's going to be a bit of a faction war.
Which we love. Interestingly enough, Bully Ray, just sidetracking briefly, said that if you booked him and Dreamer and ECW guys on AEW, they would break the 1 million viewership. Do you agree with that comment?
When did he say that? I'm busted open.
I don't know if he said it, but I don't know if he said it in an interview. I've read it this morning.
Got you. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Bully Ray, but obviously they're working a bit of an ECW angle with Jack Perry at the minute. It was Jerry Lynn that stepped up this week. There's been rumours, and it's just rumours, that could be setting up an appearance from Rob Van Dam. Yeah, that's what I heard yesterday. So there could be a little bit of an ECW. I don't know if Invasion's a bit strong, or do I want to see Bully Ray on AEW? I've got no problem with that. I think he's proven in his run with Impact and this run with Impact just how he still has the ability to tell incredible stories and be involved in some great content in the world of wrestling. So Dreamer, obviously he was feuding with Bully Ray, wasn't he? On TV. So they'd have to tell a bit of a story there as to why they would be aligned again. But I think it could do good business for AEW.
Will it break the 1 million viewership?
Well, they're not far off anyway, are they? Most weeks. They had a run of last year doing particularly well. So maybe that would create the necessary buzz to bring a few people back, and maybe bring some old ECW fans to fresh eyes onto the product as well. So I think Bully's doing really good stuff. So I don't see why anybody would be massively against that.
No, I think it'd be quite good. 2 really good packages played up next. They took you back to 2014 when Eric Young beat Nick Aldis, as that's in the main event. So really, again, they play these things back so that you know the story behind what's going on. So
they showed how Eric Young won as well, and what move he hit to pick up their victory.
They did indeed, which is important. But again, really good memory to go back there to make you refresh your memory, so to speak. And then a really good vignette from Alan Angels as he questions Heath attacking him last week. I really like Alan Angels. Wasn't too keen on him in AEW, but coming into his own here on Impact Wrestling, I think.
So he was lost in the shuffle at times with the Dark Order, but he did have a really, really good match with Kenny Omega a long time ago now. I don't know if it was on a Rampage or a Dynamite, but that kind of alerted me to his talent and just how good he was. So I'm glad he's getting to showcase that now on a weekly basis, and not a monthly or just an occasional basis.
Yeah, certainly so. And obviously Heath was is a good worker in WWE, so should be an interesting match when they get involved eventually. We saw footage of earlier on, or last week, when the Rascals were throwing popcorn at Bailey, which basically leads into, and again, they do a good job of showing you why this match is going on. We keep saying, throw matches out there about a story, or show us why this match is happening. And these guys have done it. They Speedball Mike Bailey and Zachary Wentz put on a really good, solid one-on-one match. Zachary plants him with the headlock DDT. Again, there's still a little bit of, shall we say, shenanigans going on at ringside with Trey and Miguel. But ultimately, Zachary Wentz gets the pin. But again, a fantastic, really fantastic one-on-one contest between 2 great talents.
It wasn't a clean finish. Trey, he put his foot on the rope. Zachary's foot on the rope to break up a pin, and also the distraction, and he sprayed Mike Bailey in the face with a spray paint, then hit the finisher. So protects Bailey, so it doesn't cause him any great problem, because Mike Bailey's one hell of a talent, and I'm hoping he gets, I don't know, has he been X Division champion?
I think so.
Yeah, I would expect that he probably has, but I'd like him to work back towards that X Division Championship, because every single match I see him in, I'm kind of blown away by his talent. So yeah, another really good competitive match with, as you say, shenanigans at the end.
Shenanigans, a good old shenanigans. Rings there, ugly head again. It was announced, actually was announced, that Shitty Machine Guns, Kushida and Josh Alexander will face Bully Ray, Moose Myers and Leo Rush at Emergence.
Cool.
And the three-way digital media title match was confirmed for next week, which brings us very nicely into the main event between Eric Young and Nick Aldis. Very, very old school stuff. They were kind of one-upping each other a little bit in this match to begin with. I class this as a real old school TV style main event, in which EY suddenly hits the power driver to get the win. We're assuming that's all this done in Impact Wrestling. But just segueing after that, Cody Deaner and Con come out and basically obliterate Eric Young to end the show. But Dave, firstly, really good old school wrestling match to end Impact this week.
Yeah, great main event, traditional type match. As you say, the callback to the pole driver after we saw the footage from it, just consistent, really easy. I mean, it kind of seems obvious that they would do that, given the fact that EY was going to win, and looks like Aldis, as he said to us, he went in on a short-term deal, and we don't know what his future is at the minute. But I like it, and it's not just that; it's the setting up or the continuation of what now Eric Young goes into. We saw the match at Slammiversary when he was against Dina. You've got the history of the By Design group that Young was actually head of, and Dina was his kind of protege for a period. So again, absolute, like, obvious to a degree, but it's not. Obviously, they make it look easy in terms of what Impact Zone. It's not easy, but they just use the stuff that you would expect them to use, and it's a logical progression for the story and a logical progression for the characters of Dina and Young to now be kind of going up against each other at some point. So again, another great episode. 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, big 8 out of 10 for me. And as you say, they've kind of gone full circle with the Dina feud, bringing that back to life. Funny enough, Eric Young was brought back to life for a Slammiversary, so it kind of works out. But yeah, really good show. Solid again. I think they keep bringing on these solid shows, Impact Wrestling. I'm very much already looking forward to next week's show.
Yeah, it's just a very smooth watch, which for me, that's what I find. Like, every segment and everything just rolls along nicely. And next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by and you've watched the show.
Yes.
It's a very comfortable watch. I'm not sitting there pulling my hair out going, why are they doing that? Or what's this about? Or what's happened here? The production as well. Obviously, they have the luxury of being able to edit it, and it's not live. So perhaps you'd expect a kind of a polished product, but they're certainly doing that. And again, commentary, fantastic. Again, there's such a great team, possibly the best two-man pairing in wrestling commentary right now.
Andy Fan and Ray Wild are fantastic commentators. But that wraps up another Impact Wrestling review. We will be back a bit later on, Dave. Your top 10 heel turns.
Yeah, I've got a few surprises for you guys.
Okay. Jeez. Oh, well, we may have the P45 brought out for that one if he's got a few surprises in this. But guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, and whoever else watches the show, dogs, cats, birds, we don't discriminate. That has been the Impact Wrestling Review. He has been Dave Robinson. I have been Adam Cousins, and you can't do your usual one today because this isn't Impact. So buckle down, stay safe, goodbye.